So we're to the next liability, which is payroll payable and payroll taxes payable. You've probably all gotten paychecks at one point, and you may wonder, what do all these things mean, and where does all your money go? You may start out with gross pay of $500, but you certainly don't take that home. You might only take home close to 400 and something of that. So FICA and Medicare, those go into government funds, and those pay, in a group way for Medicare and Social Security. So those are just for people in general, okay? Now, the second group of withholdings here, the federal withholding and the state withholding, those go into your personal accounts with the government. In other words, that $40 federal withholding goes directly, it's credited against the income taxes that you will owe for the current year. And the same with the state withholding. So that's money that they're taking from you as really prepayment of your taxes. There can be other withholdings as well for union dues or child care, various other, plans, but it's in the name of simplicity, we don't get into that here. So these are the basic ones. So as an employer, what journal entries do you make based on this particular payroll? Well, you would have the salary expense starts out as the $500. That's your gross pay. That would be a debit of $500 that the employer would make, and that would be what would be the salary expense to the employer. So what else, and then we come to the deductions and everything. So the FICA and Medicare payable, that gets deducted out of your check, but that the employer doesn't keep it. He has to send that along to the government. Same with the federal withholding. The employer has to send that to the federal government, and he has to send the state withholding to the state government. And the rest, he cuts you a check for the $411.75. So that's your basic entry that the employer has to make for the payroll expense or salary expense. The employer isn't done there as far as this goes, because in addition to paying you, as a result of this payroll, he also owes the government half of the FICA and Medicare. So this represents half of it. He's going to have payroll tax expense. He's going to owe the other $38.25 to the government for that. Plus, the employer has to pay the unemployment taxes both to the federal and the state government. In this problem, I'm just calling the FUTA, federal unemployment tax, $4. Okay, so that's due to the government. And then state unemployment of $2. So when you total all of those up, in addition to the payroll tax expense of $500 based on your payroll and your contribution to FICA and Medicare, the employer also incurs this much additional expense related to that payroll. There used to be other a whole appendix on the detail of this. A lot of companies will have payroll services that take care of most of it, but you'll still run into some smaller companies where you might be the ones having to do out the payroll each month, in which case you need more detail than this provides, but this gives you the basics.